here. Jack, you're thank you. Jack is here. Falco, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Matt's here. David's here. Cynthia, you're on the line. Let's hear.
Hey, Joe.
Amy, you're here, correct?
Personnel board.
Amy, are you on?
Personnel board.
No, I don't see her.
I don't see her on.
Let's
I
see here.
didn't know. So we're just starting now. So
Okay.
I didn't know if you were going to zoom in or not.
All right, and then we have Jen in the room with Jack. Okay. So thanks
And
so
that
much.
was Joe. Joe's not going to be joining us. He's in a meeting.
And Jen Reed is here too.
And Rita, I'm so sorry, Rita.
That's okay. No big deal.
You're a saint. Okay, and so let's go to the agenda. Agenda for today. And Jen, thanks for getting that out. And thanks for being flexible with the Zoom call. Let's see, just one moment. Agenda, we did roll call, public comments on the agenda. I don't see anybody in the public on the lines. Anybody in the room?
No.
Okay.
Hey, Justin.
There's
Hey.
Amy.
Hey, Amy.
Hello.
Thanks
I'm
for the
driving, so I'm not going to have my camera on.
All good. All right. So next up is the approval of previous meeting minutes from September. I can share my screen if we needed to view that just very quickly. Just one moment while I pull that up. Two.
List officers. Maybe you can tell me which count them. Come up with a good number and add the new ones.
Sorry, just one moment. I'm going from Teams to Skype to 4 other video systems today. Yeah. Hold on. Trying to find out where the share icon is here.
Usually at the bottom.
Yeah, that's where I'm
Next
I see
to
it.
chat.
I see it.
Yes.
There we go. All right. So, all right, I had to send a request. I don't know why. So I can verbally just read it. As far as we had our attendees from last month, we had our public comments on the agenda. There's no comments. We approved the previous meeting minutes from August 27th, and then the old business was next steps for sergeant process, where we had 10 to 15 patrol officers eligible to take the sergeant's exam, and 1 to 2 sergeant positions possibly may open in the patrol division in 2025. That was the old business. The new business was 2 sergeants took the lieutenant's exam. As far as the written exam, it was a 2-hour exam. Tests were sent out to be scored. We received the scores back. It says we were to schedule, or I'm sorry, we were to follow with the oral exam. Once we received the scores, the oral exams were given to those receiving a passing score, which were both candidates. Interviews will be scheduled in 1-hour time slots, which we did. There's no public comments, and then we adjourned. So can I have a motion as far as to accept September's meeting minutes?
Move to accept.
Second. Okay, 1 second.
I'll second it.
Did that
All right.
chief?
I
All in
wasn't
favor?
there, so I can't.
Okay.
It's all good. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody
Sorry.
opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, so we accepted those meeting minutes. Great. Old business. Old business really is as far as just talking about, we did submit the scores to Town Council as far as from the sergeant oral interviews and the composite scores. So that is in their hands to decide what next steps may be, if they're going to bring them in to interview, if they're going to make a decision, what that might look like. Jack, do you have any color as far as on that and the process and what your thoughts are?
Oh, we're struggling. Our town manager came back and we got the new guy on board. He was here, I think, 2, maybe 3 days. Was hospitalized for 6 more days.
Oh my gosh.
So
What happened?
just a real freak medical condition. They don't really know what caused it or whatever, but he's struggling to get healthy. He's getting there. He's back to work. Not feeling 100%, but he's sucking it up and doing his best.
Sounds good.
So,
All right, so we'll get a disposition then as far as next month or in between. As far as other old business, we had 10th candidate as far as on the list. Jack, I'm assuming no movement on that.
I'm sorry.
The 10th candidate for council to take a look at, or we're
The
still in the
10th.
same position.
Yeah, Jason is at the shore right now. So he's out of pocket. Joe and I have been trying to engage him on that. So
Okay, more to follow then. Okay, that's old business. New business, as far as the once we get to a point where we get a promotion based out of the sergeant role into a lieutenant role, we'll have a vacancy as far as immediately in the sergeant role. Jack, did you want us to start the process of interviewing the patrol officers that are eligible for the sergeant role and moving with that and creating a list for that piece, or what direction would council like to move in for that?
I'm going to table that for Joe.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
No problem. Okay, so we'll come to a decision on that. That's all I had for new business. Does anybody else have new business?
I
Just
have
a question.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Amy.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I saw that, the town was advertising 2 positions on the personnel board. I believe we have 2 people coming up for, the end of their term in December, David and Brad. So, I think the way it's been done in the past, and I would assume it would be the same, is that if you're interested in renewing your role, your position, if you will, you have to reapply each time. So just an FYI on that. And I forget what the timeline was for applications. Hopefully it hasn't already passed, but
October 30th.
oh, okay. So we have another week or so. But just FYI on that for everyone. And I don't know who has or has not already applied, but we could potentially be looking for more members depending on what our current members decide to do.
Same.
Full disclosure, my seat is one of the ones up, and I did put back into for reappointment. So
Good.
hopefully, Jack, you guys got my application.
Yes.
That's good news. Did you receive one from Brad, Jack?
I have been pretty struggling to have communications with the new manager because he's being consumed with all the things that have been backed up. So
Oh, no worries.
I'm trying to get a list of, there's about 5 different boards right now that people are applying for things. And so I don't have a current list.
Okay. Well, and I guess we'd have to wait until October 30th anyway, but being that we have about a week left and not knowing Brad's status, it might be good to talk to some folks who you think might be interested or good at this, who may have expressed interest in the past, and encourage them to apply, because I think we all know we could use more involvement.
Thanks, Amy.
I should also mention that we have a new admin too. Our admin left, so we had to replace her. So we have a brand new admin, Diane. June, do you know her last name?
I don't remember off the top.
Yeah. Anyhow, real nice lady, and I think she'll be great. But she's got a learning curve too. So we've got a lot of learning curves going on.
Yeah.
Hey,
Understood.
Justin, I don't
Yeah.
know if this is a time to bring up a process change to interview processes, but
Sure.
I think that we should put some kind of time limit on answers.
Yes.
Oh,
definitely.
Agreed.
I know, I'm
Agreed.
not trying to make a joke here. I'm being serious.
No,
Being
I
sincere.
know
No,
you're
on
being
Yeah.
serious, and
everything.
I
It's
agree.
it's not just that, it's some of the questions. Sometimes we have too many questions too. I mean, we need to revise that maybe.
So, and this might be an executive session for next month, but as far as uh Matt, absolutely. I didn't mean to laugh, but one of the things that came out of, I think, the interview process, not just for the sergeant to lieutenant, but for the patrol officers, is I just generally speaking, I think we have too many questions.
Yeah,
I by maybe half.
yeah. Remember
Um,
that one guy said he's never been through a process like this before. Remember?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but that's not bad. I mean, but it could be reduced. But I have a question about the police officers who are going to apply to be sergeants. Do they go
Yeah.
through the same process? They have to take a test. They have to be, of course, interviewed, right? Same thing.
Their
Okay.
yes. So their process is this was a so the folks that were sergeants that took the exam for lieutenant, it's a level 2 supervisor exam. There's a level 1 supervisor
Okay.
exam. So they'll take that. I believe it's a similar time frame. I think it's 2 hours somewhere in that ballpark. Um, and I will say I was pleasantly surprised to see how quickly once the tests were submitted as far as scores came back in like I think less than 10 days, which is pretty good. So this this might be a good focus for us as far as into the fall winter, Jack, and if Joe and you and the council have an appetite for pursuing as far as the backfilling some of the sergeant roles. This would probably be a good effort because this would I'm assuming that we would have a healthy population from within the department that would probably throw their hat in the ring for that. So, more to follow. I think we're probably going to have executive session discussions based upon the org structure again, looking at that org structure. We'll probably at that point in time need to have the process improvement discussion at some limited way, shape, or form. And Matt, I'm not sweeping it under or overlooking the hard work you've done. It's just I want to time it, and quite frankly, I need council to disposition that 10th candidate one way or another, just because we can't move forward without that. So more to follow in that regard.
We did have an executive session to discuss what we wanted to do relative to the list. And our attorney advised us that we would definitely have to interview number 10. And if we want to exhaust the list, we have to send a letter notification to the 2 that we chose not to hire.
So as soon as we get to that point, you guys talk number 10, we'll talk about those next steps as far as with those other 2. Any other further thoughts, questions, feedback as far as on new business?
By the way, we have 29 officers.
29, and that includes lieutenants, everything.
That's everybody, chief. And
Is that
everybody.
everybody
We
that's
just
on
had
payroll?
King just left.
Is everybody active out of that 29? Because Jack, I don't think that's accurate.
Um,
I have the actual list downstairs. I can say off.
okay. Could
It could be
you
something that could be
add
done
that to the
offline.
minutes? I asked June to add that to the minutes.
That's isn't that Jen?
Or
Yes.
Jen. Yeah,
Okay.
Jen.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Um,
Jen, June, Jack, all J's.
all right. So Jen, if you could, that'd be wonderful. Thank you. But yeah, my understanding is not everyone is active as far as their own schedule. All right. So final call. Any other new business thoughts, questions, concerns? Okay. Let's see what else we have. All right.
Oh, I guess
No public comments. Yeah, go ahead.
I was
David.
just going to say, I guess as new business, the a lot of the changes, stuff like setting the time limit, which I think is a good idea, I think we can do, but the overall, I think the process just needs an overhaul. But that's ordinance driven. And so I think we mentioned it in the last meeting, but that's going to have to kind of come from council and be driven by council,
We did
overhauling that process.
We discussed that as well. Jason wants to get a subcommittee of 3 people to review it.
So, yeah, so I don't, it probably doesn't make sense. I mean, the sergeant exam is separate. I'm leaving that aside, but for new hires, I don't think it would make sense to, I think there's a lot of work that has to go in before we do anything else. Regardless of the current list, before we do a next list, whenever that is, I think there's a lot of work to be done, but it kind of, the ball for that is sitting in council's court, I think.
Just throwing this out there based upon the time we spent in doing what we did as far as this year for the process and some of the work from last year, at minimum, I believe it's going to take 2 to 3 months for us to even come close to even drafting something. And once that draft is through it, we're probably 2 to 3 months after that, as we're talking 6 months of work. Easily.
I think that's very easily the case. Yeah, because I think the process of changing the ordinances is going to be harder than drafting rules and regulations was. If we're coming up with an entirely new process, because for the rules and regs, we had a template we could go off of and we knew what the process was. This is changing that process, coming up with a new process, and the whole legal hurdles you have to go through because it's ordinance based instead of rules based. So I think I would tend to lean towards the longer end of your estimate on that, I think.
Matt, did you have a chance to meet with any of the officers to discuss the things that you were going to do with them, discuss with them about our process?
Yes, didn't you get a copy of what was submitted?
I think that I wasn't at the last meeting. I don't know if you discussed it. I did get a copy of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so what happened is that trying to get police officers in together was just non-starter because overtime issues and they're so
Okay.
short-staffed and all this other stuff. So I finally just decided to query them individually and have them submit input. And
that's what was on the papers that you sent out
quite a
last
few
month.
responded,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll look that up again. Thank you.
Rita, it is good reading. It confirms some of the things we did think, and then there's some great insights in there. So
Okay.
great job. All right. So last call, new business, anything? Okay, nothing from public because I see no public in there and nobody's hopped online. Motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Aye.
None. All right. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks,
Yep,
all.
thanks, bye.
Thank you. Thank you.